Hi guys, it's Cara theBubblelush. So I wanted to take a couple minutes and do my week 4 through 6 pregnancy vlog for baby number 2. And this is going to be a little different because, as most of you know, I didn't find out I was pregnant until I was 5.5 weeks along. And then we got confirmation when I was 6 weeks. So basically kind of what I wanted to talk about was how we got pregnant considering that fertility treatments didn't work. So the video that I posted was definitely a huge surprise. I explained it in the beginning of the video, but basically we had agreed to go on a break until we got back from vacation, right? Like we were busy in June and we just needed a break. We had never taken any time off in the middle of fertility treatments like that before. When I was trying to conceive Hannah, it always felt like even though it hadn't worked yet, we were always kind of moving forward, and you know, at least we were troubleshooting, and there was always kind of like an end goal, and we never had an issue with hope, I guess. And with this baby, we started trying to conceive, and we used the same medicine that we did to conceive Hannah, and when that didn't work, I mean, we just, I guess, assumed that my body has responded every time I took Femara, and it was like my miracle. It really was just like my miracle medicine. And when it didn't work, we were just kind of gutted. And we were like, maybe it was just a fluke. You know, I just had recently weaned Hannah, and my body had been a little weird, and I was like, maybe it's just a fluke, let's do it again. And it didn't work. And then we did the injectable cycle, which is draining emotionally and financially, and schedule-wise it was just a nightmare because I had to go in all the time for ultrasounds. And we just never felt like we were making progress during those injectable cycles. It was just always a stalemate. And eventually we kind of got something, and we did an IUI, and it didn't work. And so I was going to do a break. I was just going to take a break. And I figured, you know, let's do one more. But maybe the stress of vlogging it and talking about it all the time, maybe that's what I need to cut out. So I still filmed updates, but I didn't post them. And I figured if this cycle works, you know, if this second injectable cycle works, then I'll post the videos. I'll at least have them, but I just needed to do it kind of privately. And so we did a completely different course of medication. We did Femara to start with. I think it was like 3 through 7 or 3 through 10, and then we did Minipure. We didn't do any Follistim at all. And if you remember, during my first injectable cycle, I did Follistim and I wasn't responding, and then as soon as I added Minipure, they started growing. So we just did Minipure kind of right from the beginning, and I just never got any traction with the cycle. And Chris was getting ready to leave on some bachelor parties and stuff, and I just canceled it. I was just like, I'm done. I need a break. And for once I was finally able to understand how women needed a break. Before I didn't. I was like, keep going, like you're almost there. You just need to tweak the medication a little bit. But this time around it just felt like nothing was working. And to me that just meant that like my body needed a break. It wasn't even like a mental thing, it was just my body needed a break. So I wanted to try to be as productive as possible with my time off. And so what we did was, finally, after talking to Christina, she finally talked me into doing the low amylose diet. And it's tough. It's a tough diet. I have never done a low carb thing where you cut out bread, potatoes, well, basically any rice, noodles, pasta, corn, anything. Any carb you basically cut out, except for you can have plenty of protein. It's like kind of a high protein diet. Vegetables and fruit as much as you want, and lots of dairy, so you can have as much cheese as you want. So like a example of a meal would be like a taco salad. Huge bed of lettuce, lots of vegetables, some like taco meat on top, cheese. That was like a really good lunch. And so the diet just seemed to agree with me. I was on the metformin. I did 500 milligrams, you know, morning, noon, and night. And I titrated up, so I did 500 milligrams per week, and then 1,000 milligrams, and then I finally worked my way up to 3 pills a day. And I felt pretty good. I didn't mind the diet. Once you got used to it, you kind of realized just how prevalent the carbs were in your previous diet, and you were kind of trying to like outsmart yourself and figuring out what you could eat. And it just turns out I ate a lot of salads, but I felt good, and it was, you know, it was June and everything was fresh and the produce, and so I didn't feel like I was starving myself or anything. And besides that, I also did a lot of reading. I just got right back into reading and relaxing and just trying to calm everything down. You'll probably notice that I wasn't on Facebook very much, I wasn't on YouTube very much, and it was really just because I just needed some time to recharge my batteries, just kind of relax. And the one thing that I'm afraid of by putting this out there is I don't necessarily want people to think that I am saying, if you just relax, you'll get pregnant. Because well, I think that that is somewhat true. I think stress and your endocrine system are definitely really closely linked. I have always been a big advocate for seeking help from a fertility specialist, from a trained fertility specialist. But I also think that your diet and especially with PCOS, your insulin resistance, that's a huge thing. And I got my diet under control and my insulin levels were calmed down and I relaxed, and I think that being on the fertility medicine for so many months beforehand, maybe I had some follicles that were kind of left over from the previous cycle that had started growing and they took over. I don't know what happened, but I ovulated. I didn't ovulate on cycle day 14. I think I ovulated on cycle day like 45. I haven't gone back and done the math, but yeah, it's probably on like cycle day somewhere between 30 and 40, I think. And it worked. I don't know, and it just kind of seems like one of those miracle flukes, because I was working with a whole team of amazing doctors and I stumped them. They didn't know what to do for me, and this, I guess, is just what worked. So if you're interested in the low amylose diet, I know there's a group on Facebook and they talk about their meals, and maybe if you have PCOS, that's something to look into. You know, being really strict on your diet and metformin and trying to get stress under control. But again, I am definitely all for people pursuing fertility treatments, because I think that anovulatory conditions, especially if you have PCOS, that is a medical condition, and it's not necessarily something that stress, you know, relieving stress is just going to cure. It's a medical condition, and you wouldn't say to anybody else like, oh, you have cancer? Just relax and it'll go in remission. Like, you know, you wouldn't say that. So I think that there is definitely a time and a place to seek fertility treatment, and I mean, that's what worked for Hannah, and it just wasn't what we needed this time, I guess. I don't really know. So we were on vacation. We probably, if we had known when I was 4 weeks, or, you know, 2 weeks late, I guess 2 weeks after ovulation, the earliest we would have found out we were pregnant would have been like July 2nd. We were staying with friends, getting ready for the big 4th of July festivities, and then we stayed with some friends, we relaxed. I was really tired though. I noticed that I was tired, and I was the same way with Hannah. Like, as soon as I got my positive pregnancy test, I was exhausted. But I just figured it was the end of a long vacation where Hannah just kind of ran us ragged, and it was really hot. It was really hot and humid, and we weren't used to that. And then when I got back, I just figured I was like jet lagged and still like kind of recovering from vacation, and that's explained why I was so tired. But it wasn't. It was because I was pregnant. So I didn't really have any symptoms necessarily. I was just tired. So I did the pregnancy test, like I said, on Friday morning, right before I went to work. It was like a half an hour before I went to work when I took the test, and by the time I like calmed down, I only had like 15 minutes before I needed to leave for work, and I still had to like pack a lunch and do my makeup and like look presentable. So I didn't want to like run into the bedroom and wake up Chris and be like, oh my god, we're pregnant. I wanted him to like kind of be, I don't know, conscious for that moment. And like, I wanted it to be special, and I didn't want to just like pounce on him and then go to work. So it took a lot. It was like the longest day ever, but and then I obviously filmed when I told him, and it took me a really long time to figure out how I was going to tell him, but I think I sufficiently surprised him, and I think you guys are fairly impressed with my poker face. I did a good job. I'm sorry that video was so long with me telling Chris, I think it was like 15 minutes long, but I couldn't bring myself to edit any part of that conversation because the whole thing just kind of led up to the moment. And right after that, that was on Friday, and so all weekend we were just kind of like, oh my god, I can't believe we're pregnant, that's so crazy. And then on Monday we had the ultrasound and we heard the heartbeat. Now on the video, in Hannah's first ultrasound, when I was like 6 weeks and 3 days, I think, they zoomed in, and so it was like really easy for them to find the heart, and they found it right away and we heard the heartbeat. The thing with this baby is as soon as we saw it on ultrasound, we saw the flicker of the heartbeat. So we were more concerned with like, is there only one? Is there only one? And but we knew right away that everything was okay. There was kind of a weird moment when she was trying to find the heartbeat and she kept kind of moving around, but at the same time, the whole time we knew that the baby was okay because we saw a heartbeat from, you know, minute one. Now I guess, so I'm turned 6 weeks on Mondays, but we're still not really sure. It was kind of a weird ultrasound in the fact that the baby itself, crown mouth length, was measuring 6 weeks. When they measured the bubble around the baby, that was 5 weeks and 4 days. There wasn't a yolk sac, but there was a heartbeat. So we were just kind of like, what a weird ultrasound. So hopefully everything is okay, and I guess I have a midwife appointment scheduled for 9 weeks, which is 3 weeks from now. So, and then I guess we'll either hear the heartbeat or we'll schedule the NT scan, or we'll do something to kind of nail down that everything is okay with the baby. But for right now, everything seems fine. The heartbeat was 122, but again, it's still really early. It probably only started beating just a couple days ago. And I think that's about it. We're just really excited. And I had some people, because I got a huge response from the first couple of videos, especially the pregnancy test video, to the point where I don't even think I've read every single comment. And every other video I have ever posted, I have read every single comment. And this one, I woke up the next morning and there was 500 comments, and I was like, how am I going to read all of these? So some of them I haven't read yet, but from the ones that I did, and I feel awful about that, I need to find time to go back and read them all, because I appreciate every comment. I was just kind of overwhelmed. Someone asked if I wanted a boy or a girl this time, and I think we need to have like a whole philosophical discussion about this, but what it comes down to is I see the pros and cons, if there is a con, of like both genders, and I don't have a preference. Yeah. I think, obviously, Chris eventually wants to have a boy. He eventually wants to have at least like one of each, because he thinks that it's such a different experience raising a girl from raising a boy. And I think, of course, he wants a son to pass down his last name to, you know. And I've always looked forward to having a girl that I could like put her hair up in bows and stuff like that, so I can understand how my husband would look forward to having a son that he could like do Boy Scouts and stuff with. You know, that's just, I think that's something that you kind of envision from the time that you're really young, but I also can't wait to have a little boy. Hannah's such a daddy's girl that I would love to have a little mom's boy. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them below. I think once I get these first couple weeks out of the way, you know, I'm going to combine probably, well, I don't know what I'm going to do, but once I get the first couple weeks out of the way and the doctor's appointments and stuff, then my pregnancy updates will have kind of more of a consistent format. But for these first couple ones, we're just kind of talking it all through because there is so much going on. I'm going to leave a link probably down here for Hannah's weekly videos in case you want to go back and look at those, because when I was filming Hannah's videos, especially in the very beginning ones, I was so excited about all the different developmental things going on, and unfortunately this past couple weeks, past month, I have been so busy at work and everything else and with Hannah that I haven't really had a moment to sit down and kind of like savor this pregnancy and like get really super excited about all the tiny stuff going on. I'm still just kind of overwhelmed by the whole idea that there's another baby and that it just kind of happened magically and it's like a little miracle baby. So if you want to know, if you find the little week-by-week developmental in utero updates super interesting, and I usually do, I really did with Hannah's, then you might want to go back and watch her pregnancy updates. That sounds weird, but I think week 4 is a 2-parter, and then week 5 and week 6. Alright, I will leave them below. I hope you guys have a wonderful time, and keep watching the videos. Bye guys.